Hello and welcome to the Faniverse. I'm Elgon, the E and C and E.
And I'm Christine, the C in the C and E.
And we're here with J L Burrows, and she's an author, a Christian fantasy adventure type author, I believe. And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful to be here with you guys.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're joining us today.
I know, it's great.
So when I first logged on, she has this beautiful little baby puppy. Looks like a little teddy bear. Look, oh.
Well, this is Lacey, and if you ever read After the Darkness, which is the third book in my Balance Keeper series, this is the inspiration for Hope. Yes, she is. Oh, you know you're on camera, don't you? Look at how cute. She's all like, I'm just going to be really cute right now.
She is. She was made for the camera.
Yeah. She loves attention. What can I say?
Aw. So why don't you tell us about your books?
Sure. So Hunted by Darkness is the first one in the series. This one came out last September. It is a YA Christian fantasy, and it follows a group of 17-year-old students who stumble upon a demon attack. And because they stumble upon this demon attack, the one girl is marked by a demon, and that demon has basically decided he's going to own her. And it's about her journey of escaping his control and protecting the people she loves, and really discovering, when her life gets turned upside down, who is she going to be? How is she going to fight a battle that she feels is impossible? And how is she going to become strong enough to do the things that she's required to do? And then that led me to this book's kind of got a funny story. So I'm a teacher. I teach, at the time when I wrote this, I was teaching 6th graders. Now I'm teaching advanced honors English to 10th graders at our Central Magnet School right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And the 6th graders I was working with, the principal called me into the office, and I don't know if you know this, but no one likes to be called into the principal's office, not even the teacher. It's a scary experience. So I go into the principal's office, heart pounding, like, oh no, what did I do wrong? It's August, like I haven't even a chance to do anything wrong yet, And so I go in, we don't even have students yet in school, and she sits me down and gets this real serious face, and she's like, I want you to teach creative writing. And I'm like, I teach English. It's kind of creative writing's in English. She's like, no, I want you to teach a creative writing course specifically to this group of, 13 6th graders. And I'm like, well, I'm okay. So what's the curriculum? She says, no curriculum. I'm like, okay. And so I walk into the class and I say to the kids, I said, you know what, I really feel like I want to do. Let's write a book. Let's write books. We'll each write our own book. And you do it in the genre you want to do it. I want to teach you to dream, and I want to teach you to imagine. And so this book was written with that group of 6th graders.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? Fast forward 4 years later, the year that I put this out, I have the same 6th graders now as 10th graders in the classroom.
Wow. Oh my goodness. They're going to remember that forever.
They were able to see the book and hold it in their hands. And that was just like, for me, it's really important for kids to learn how to hope and to dream in a world where it feels like everything is kind of rigid and regimented, and this is how you go. And so it's really important for me to be like, I'm old, and I'm a mom of 2 kids, and I'm dreaming still, and I'm still following those dreams, and I'm still putting those dreams out there. And I want to teach my students to dream too.
I think that's really important. Young kids nowadays, they don't have a lot of role models to look up to, like good role models. So I think it's really important that, as authors, we can step in and give them someone to look up to. We could teach them the good values. We could teach them, how to dream, how to acquire and achieve everything that they set out to do. And I think that's so important.
I totally agree. And to teach them that hard work is not something to be afraid of. And failure is a part of the journey. When they first saw my book, I had failed at writing it, honestly. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. Nobody does when you first start writing a book. And it was about learning together and hitting those obstacles and deciding how am I going to get over those, and reaching out for help when we need help, because it's not like you're going to walk through life and everything's going to fall at your feet and you're going to be wonderful at everything you try to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, I absolutely 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what was your inspiration for like your characters? How did you come up with them?
So honestly, all of my people, anyone who knows me is at risk. Let's just put it that way.
The same.
Several of the named characters in book one have the names of my sixth graders in it. They were really excited about becoming famous. They expected my book to, be widely read by everyone. So everybody hop on it, so that these kids in here could be totally famous. And so I had to spend a lot of time with the sixth graders explaining that a character is not actually them, right? It's not like you're actually going to become, but a lot of the information, and being a teacher, I get to work with 130 very unique personalities every year, and so a lot of my character inspiration comes directly from my life. The angel Abigail is designed off of my daughter. She's what the character inspiration, and the love, the romance interest in book one, Caleb, is my son, which is ironic because he doesn't have a girlfriend. But I'm hopeful, hey, moms can hope.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, pretty much everybody in my life is at risk. My husband, I haven't put out this series yet. It's coming out in March of next year, but I'm writing an adult dystopian one right now. And the first book's coming out in March, and my husband is the inspiration for the main male character in that book. And so honestly, everybody's at risk.
Better watch out, everybody. Watch out, world. She's coming for you.
It's even your dog. Like the main character that's a dog in that series is my brother's dog. So I'm telling you, it's your dog, it's your cats. You give it to me to see, it's gonna be used.
and the people you don't like become the villains.
Absolutely. Those I carefully named though.
I am the same way.
The names have been changed to protect me.
Right.
So how many books do you have total out right now?
Published, I actually have 4, although one I've got hidden somewhere because I'm actually revamping it and about to turn it. I decided it did so well that I decided that I was going to grow it into a middle grade novel and actually do a 4-book series with it. So that one I've pulled kind of off to the side. You can find it on Amazon. I haven't taken off Amazon, but it's kind of like getting a makeover. It's going to be so beautiful. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And then I have, of course, Hunted by Darkness. This came out last September. And then I have Rulers of Darkness. This is the second book in this series. Now, each book, when I wrote these, I thought of my students and my own children, and I was like, what do I want? I wanted them to learn something. I teach as an English teacher, I teach theme, right? I teach, what is the message the author is trying to teach you? And I'm like, now as the writer, I'm like, what is the message I'm trying to teach the kids? Looking at it from the inverse side. But for each one, there's a different message. And this one was about how having faith changes the fight, how it changes how you fight. It changes how you persevere. It changes how you weather storms that are not like when there's people in your life trying to hurt you. They may sometimes hide themselves as people that are there to help you. And it's about really discerning, who really are your friends, who are the people you can trust, and how do you know? Whereas in this one of the characters who made some bad choices ends up befriending a demon, and that demon, so the rules in my world are that you can't go to heaven or hell until you've died, right? That's a pretty common expectation. Well, this demon takes a character before they're dead.
Oh,
yeah, totally breaks the rules. And so it's about how this character is stuck in hell, and I had so much fun creating hell, which I don't think I should say, but I have to say it was so much fun. Like I wanted different levels of hell and different time periods. And then I was like, what kinds of things are going to happen? And so I had a lot of fun creating like this world building was some of the most fun I've had in a long time. And so this one is about even when things look your darkest, God is out there fighting for you. There's somebody out there fighting for you to come and rescue you. Which is, I know everybody wants save yourself, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're in such a dark place. And I think our kids sometimes get like that. And they're like, well, I don't know what to do. And I want them to know that there's always someone out there fighting for you and that you're not alone,
Yes, that's beautiful.
Thank you. And then this one is my most recent. This just came out September. This is After the Darkness. I am super passionate about this book. My cousin is the CEO of Freedom 424, which is a group that fights human trafficking. She wants to end all human trafficking. And so this book gives voice to some of the messages she wants to share, as well as things that I want my daughter to know. I want my daughter to know what to look out for. I want the students in my classroom to know what to look out for. I mean, we have this antiquated vision that human trafficking starts with a white van and a bad guy that looks bad. And, that's actually not the most prevalent form of human trafficking going on. It's oftentimes the boyfriend, like a much older boyfriend. And so a lot of people don't realize that it's actually, I forget the statistics that's in the books. In the back of the book, I included a page about the statistics that you can find in human trafficking. But it's oftentimes someone you know. And so it's really important for our children, our students, our young people to know that these are the threats and where those threats are coming from, but also what to do and to how to fight for that. And so this story was about when you are in a bad situation, try to be the light, because sometimes there's someone else in that situation you can be the light for, even if you're not feeling full of light. And so I'm very passionate about this one. Of course, as an author, I know you guys are in the same, that the book you've just written or the one you were here right now is the one you're most passionate about.
Absolutely. And can I just say, your covers are beautiful. I love the artwork on your books. It's stunning.
I really appreciate that. I worked really hard. It's funny because each cover comes from a different artist. So we had to work really hard to get them to be matching. This last one, though, I'm going to keep her forever. And I almost don't want to share her with anybody. This is right. And she does the most fantastic job. It was really easy for me to be like, here's what I want. And then she just made it. And her communication, it was like, I would say something and the next day I'd have a cover. And then I would say something else. Wow. And then the next day I'd have that covered this way. And I was like, wow. This one was from Get Covers. They are a great, inexpensive way to get covers. And I think they're still totally operational, but they're from out of Ukraine. And so I kind of wanted to give them some space. I was a little worried that they're busy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had to learn how to do covers, though. That was there's certain things I'm good at. There are certain things I'm not. And I'm just not a visual person. I don't even look.
I'm not either.
Yeah. No,
I'm creative. I'm more just hands-on in my mind. I can't see art and draw. I'm not visual.
Yeah, no, well, and I can't even tell you what's good and bad. I had to actually join a focus group where they look at the covers and then they tell me if it's good or bad, because I'm like, it's pretty. And they're like, well, it doesn't matter if it's pretty if it's not on genre. And I'm like, what is that?
That's a tricky subject that you have to deal with as an author. Our authors go through a training period while their book's being, entered into the editing process, and they learn about typography and they learn about color balance and everything else. I mean, things that as an author you would go, why am I learning this? Well, you're learning this so you can communicate with people who design covers, because that's the language that they use.
Right. That's right. This book cover, my first book cover, when I sent it to Liz, I sent it to Liz is a different one. It's a different Liz from Fiverr, and I sent her the lady on the front, described the clothing and the dragon, and then it came back and it was just white, and I was like, why is the girl on a white background? And she's like, oh, you didn't send anything with the background. I was like, I have to tell you what goes on the background. It was like, it's a fantasy background.
Right. Oh no.
I had to say something about the background, and then I had later found out there's certain colors that go with each genre, and then I'm doing much better a year and 4 months later. But I will tell you, it has been a massive learning journey as far as, and I still feel like I don't try, I'm like, okay, I kind of like this cover, but I'm not going to like it yet. I need other people to tell me if I'm allowed to like this one or not.
And even after you have the cover all picked out and everything, and you're okay with doing ebooks, but when you do a print book, you have to know how many pages the print book is, because that determines how thick the spine's going to be. The spine has to be perfect, otherwise Amazon's going to reject it. And, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the back. Now, Christine and I get exposed to that because we work really close with our publisher. And
Right.
we work really close with the other authors that are signed to our publisher. But most of the authors are oblivious to all the nuts and bolts that go on in the background. It's really complicated to put together a book.
It
And
is.
it takes time. It takes time. And a
When
lot of people are putting out books on Amazon, just churning them out and just doing it really quickly. And they're skipping a lot of the steps that are necessary to take a good story and make it a great story.
Mm-hmm.
You need a good editing process. You need a good proofreading process, because regardless how good your editor is, regardless how good you think you are, as soon as you hit publish on a book, you're going to find 15 mistakes that are just going to drive you nuts.
True. It's so true. So recently I have gotten to where I have a development editor, a line editor, a proofreader, and that's where I'm pouring a lot of myself into, because I'm like, I did, however, learn formatting. That's another one to talk about. So this is formatted on Word. This is an old copy. This is the very first copy. I actually dedicated it to my daughter and my son. So this is the first copy that was ever printed. I was like, wow, it's a massive tome, right? I mean, it's huge. But what I didn't know.
And that's very expensive too
Yes.
from
Right.
the cost side.
White space here and the white
Right.
space and the white space there. And I was like, I thought I was doing a great job using Word. Well, anyhow, so I got smarter later. And so now I have the same book, exact same amount of words.
Oh,
Look at
wow.
the difference in size.
Yeah.
I formatted it through this. I finally, spent some money and bought a software that will allow me to format my book. And it's 100 pages shorter, same amount of words, but just less white space.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
So,
I love that.
Yeah, it's funny how, but you don't know these things going in. You just think, okay, well, I'll use Word. And now I'm like, whatever you do, don't use Word.
Yeah, and when you're putting stuff into final format, you'll end up with what are called widows and orphans. They're like, you're at the end of a page, and there's 2 words that go on to the next page.
Yep.
And those are called orphans. I think that's orphans. And you need to get those into the previous page, and you do that with adjusting the page length enough to pull those in, so you gain a whole page that way.
Yeah.
I think widows are at the end of a paragraph. Your paragraph will end with a word, and it just looks weird.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think people don't know about going to books. I mean, just even as an author going into this process, I mean, I thought, oh, I've written a book. I'm so amazing. It's done. Sparkly hands. And then I'm like, wait, what? I got to pick out a cover. Like, I was like, doesn't someone else do that? This is so much. And I really struggled with the decision of going traditional or indie. That was a big decision for me. I feel like there's some validation that comes with being published by someone else. And I started to go down that road the first year that I was working on this. And I'm a part of this big, huge indies group called 20 Books to 50K. And I talked with Craig Martell, who's amazing, and I absolutely adore him. And he said something that really mattered to me. I'm a teacher. My husband is disabled from brain cancer, so we're on a single income, which is challenging. I have 2 teenagers, which everyone in the world knows is challenging. So when Craig Martell said to me, well, do you want to be validated or do you want to make money? I said, I need to make money. That really needs to be, I have a passion for getting these words across for the kids, don't get me wrong. But if this can turn into something that's also a lucrative benefit for my family, then I need it to be that, so I can continue being an effective teacher, an effective mom, and not having to go work somewhere at a restaurant, during the summer. And so that's what really kind of shifted me into this idea that I'm going to be an indie published author, which I was like, no, the whole time, because I didn't want to have to learn formatting. I didn't want to have to learn editing. I wanted someone else to make my baby sparkle. And I'm proud of myself that I did it on my own, but I'm jealous of those of you out there that are like, here, it's my book. And they're all like, okay, let me make it sparkle.
Yeah, there's some truth there. I mean, you're going to make more money per book that you sell, going self-publishing. And it, for most people, it comes down to a decision. Do I have the time to invest in being, turning this into a career and being an author? Mm-hmm. If it's just something you're going to do on the side and make, a side hustle or some money or something like that, it's not that important. But in order to sell your book, you can't rely on, I'm going to go on Twitter every morning for about 30 minutes and I'm going to promote my book. I'm going to go on Facebook in the evening and promote my book in these Facebook groups about books.
Yeah, you have to really get into sales and marketing.
You can do all that, but
you'll end up with friends, not sales.
Right.
That's right.
And
That's right.
The other key factor in that is that everybody else who has a book is doing the same thing you're doing.
Yep, you got to rise above the noise.
There's a lot of noise in the channel. Then the only way that you're going to be able to start from scratch and be able to sell books is to go pretty much door to door. You got to hit bookstores, small bookstores, preferably. You got to hit libraries. You got to do signings, book signings. You got to do readings. You got to do personal appearances. And, your book may not sell well at a bookstore, for example. But you got to find where it's going to sell. You may have to, you may find out that your book's going to sell well at a grocery store. So you put a table out in front of the grocery store, get the store manager's permission,
It's really good. Yeah, I'm stealing that one. FYI, that's a good one. I like that. I just had a book signing yesterday. There's a new bookstore right here in Smyrna, Tennessee. They just opened in November. It's called the Spine Bookshop, which I love that name so much. I cannot even tell you. And the owner is amazing. And so she had me do a book signing at her shop, and my book is now in her shop. But you're right. It's about going out there and pounding the pavement. I have a really bizarre life story. And so that really helps me out because I'm kind of weird. I mean, it's just what it is.
Hey, I love being weird. If you're not weird, you're boring.
Well, people say that authors aren't normal people, and that's fine. Because who wants to be normal? It's like being called average.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not average. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a concert pianist. And so my first passion was to play the piano. As you can see, it's back here in the corner because it's still a passion of mine. Well, I was hit by a car when I was a sophomore in college, and my ability to sit for 8 hours, I got a nerve damage in my shoulder from the accident. I was on a bicycle, the car, it was totally unfair. Car won, I lost. And so I fell into a deep depression, and a friend of mine was like, dude, you've got to get out of yourself. You got to help someone else. You can pull yourself up by helping someone else. I was like, okay. So we went on this mission trip to the Bahamas, the Bahamas, right? And so we went on a mission trip, and I got to play music with these kids, and we just sang with them and played with them. And we basically went down to the Bahamas into this island that has like one store on the whole island, and we would consider it a gas station. We wouldn't even call it a store. And I got to meet all these like really amazing people, and just got to pour into these kids. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. Now, this is before I knew I was going to be a teacher. This is before any of that. And so I went down there and I played music with the kids, and I loved it. Well, that's where I met my husband. And so I spent a couple of years teaching down there, because at that point the school system's like, well, we need teachers. And I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I'm not. I'm a musician. And it's so funny when we put names on ourselves and we decide that this is what we're going to be, and then our life takes a turn, which is a lot of why you'll see me writing things like, when life takes a turn, how do you respond? Because it's going to take a turn. I always look at my 16 and 17-year-old students, and I'm like, yeah, I get it that that's your plan, but You know, like I tend to say that a lot. So anyhow,
Exactly.
my husband and I got married and we came back to the States. And when I got back to the States, they're like, you can't be a teacher here. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do? And so I ended up going into sales, and I spent 7 years in sales and marketing. And so I have that unique background to be able to be like, okay, again, not something I want to do, but I'll do it because I want to. But if I didn't have that background and I didn't understand that I'm going to get 90% no, and I have to be okay with that, or I can't do
Right.
this.
Yes.
If I didn't have that background, I might not have the fortitude to withstand the amount of no's you get. But it's really like what I learned is I'm going to make 70 calls a day. And out of those 70 calls, maybe 7 positive responses. And that's an excellent day. In reality,
Yes.
it's about 3.5, you know? And so I think walking into it, knowing that, and also knowing like Facebook, like for myself, and I'm sure other people, when they go on Facebook, I'm not going on there to buy things, you know?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's important to know Amazon advertising or the store that you're in advertising. How do you advertise there? Because that's an actual, like when people walk into a store, they're on the Amazon app, they're shopping, they're on there to buy something. And so I think that's a great place to start with, you know, trying. That's where I started. I actually started learning advertising for Amazon in July because it's different. Yes, I have the ability to sell. Yeah, I've done that, but each item has its own particular thing, like way to sell it, expectations from clientele that they expect to see and hear things a certain way. And so you've got to learn that ad copy and that the blurb on the back, which is the forever annoying part of writing that everybody absolutely despises. Or, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
The,
And then
the blurb's a sales pitch.
yeah, it's your sales pitch, and you have to have resources that help you. I just got this, and I mean, I've been doing this for a year and a half now, and I'm still looking at what other people are doing that works for them, so that I can better myself. And I think, you know, that's really important. But if I hadn't had that sales experience, I can see why, you know, people get frustrated and tend to give up. But it's also why I forget the quote, but I read it when I started, and it said like 50% of people aren't going to finish a book. Out of those 50% that finish the book, 50% are not going to edit the book. They'll fall out during that, and so on and so forth, until it's like 2% actually publish their book. And I was like, well,
Wow.
I've taught for 16 years, inner city, in a foreign country, all these different things. I'm like, if it's perseverance you want, I got it.
When you submit a book to a major publisher or an agent, you know, literary agent or somebody, chances are you're going to get a no. But no doesn't mean not ever. It means not yet.
Not yet. Yep.
Not now.
So there's something.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something. There's something that hasn't been, you know, locked into place with your book, and that may be that your book's not publishable as is. It may
Right.
be something structurally that you need to fix. You know, your first few pages of the book are vitally important to grabbing attention. And if your book doesn't do that, then that needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you learn that in sales, because if you're an effective salesperson, you're going to go for the maximum number of no's that you can get in a day, because you know that a few times somebody's going to say yes.
We'll say yes.
Right. Well, and you're the thing that's really interesting is people expect everyone to say yes. And the reality is you don't want that, because that's going to muddy the waters. It's going to make it hard for people who are in your genre to find, hello, mommy's talking right now. Come here. Sorry. Her colors are shining through right now. Being quiet. Remember? Did you forget?
But you see, if you look back, you know, if you get to a point in your life where you're 50 or 60 years old and you're looking back on your life, it's really easy to see how everything served a purpose, you know,
Yes.
getting you to where you are.
Yes.
Now, it may not have been planned out that way at the beginning, or it may have been planned out that way at the beginning. You don't know that. But when you're 20 years old, you have no idea that, you know, you're not supposed to go to XYZ university. You're supposed to go to this university.
Exactly.
Because when you go to that university, you're going to meet this person and this person who become very important 30 years later in your life. You don't know that.
I want to bounce off that because really interestingly, that depression that I talked about when I went on that mission trip and I met my husband, none of that would have happened if I hadn't gone to that college and been hit by that car. So the car is just as important as the college, right? And then that period of darkness that I struggled through, if I hadn't reached out to help somebody else, I would never have met my husband. Now, let's fast forward. I pursued music, but in a different vein. So I was at the time, I was going to be classically trained and I was going to be a concert pianist who performed Beethoven and Rachmaninoff and all these amazing, like, woo, heady people. And yeah, so that ended because I couldn't practice for 6 to 8 hours straight. And so, but I could play the guitar. I could, jam out for a few hours, no problem. And so I started writing my own songs. I'd been writing poetry for years. So I started writing my own songs, came up with my own demo CD. My husband and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, because I was going to be a singer-songwriter. Then we immediately got pregnant. And I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do these two things together. And so at the time, I decided to let music fall on the back burner. Fast forward 10 years, my husband gets brain cancer. And if A, he hadn't met me, B, we hadn't moved to exactly Nashville, Tennessee. C, we wouldn't have met the doctor we met. Now, the doctor we met was friends with a doctor in Mass General. Now, my husband had a very rare type of cancer, okay? It's called primary CNS B-cell lymphoma. Only about 2,000 people in the world have it, okay? There's only 3 doctors in the country that work with it. And our doctor here in Nashville, Tennessee was friends with one of them.
Wow.
Right? There's no way that's not in this world, right? And so we were able, he's been, then, hey, oh, you were just being in trouble tonight. Then we go there and he's given 2 years to live. He's been cancer-free for 10 years, going on 11 right now.
Wow.
Yeah,
and none of that would have happened if I hadn't first been hit by a car and suffered through that period of depression.
Like, I have chills. Like, that is so amazing. What a great story. Like, you need to write that. That needs to be a thing.
And the other thing, is if you could go back into time and tell your 7-year-old self, okay, don't do this, do this. You change everything.
Yeah.
And now there's a new timeline. And
exactly.
None of this other stuff will happen. All this other stuff happens instead of that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think the reality is, we oftentimes want to avoid hurt and suffering in our lives, which can be a very consistently negative experience psychologically, because that is a part of the human experience. And so when we deny this whole other half of the experience and we focus only on the positive and only value the positive, we lose sight of what builds us as people, what edifies us.
Yes.
Yeah, all the knocks you take in life make you tougher.
Make you strong. Right. Makes you who you are.
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah. Now, didn't you say that you wanted to read from one of your books?
I do. I'm not going to read chapter 1. Okay. If people want to hear chapter 1, it's on my YouTube channel. That's fine. Go read it there. It's also, I think, posted on my website, although I'm not 100% sure on that because that was a little while ago. But I love fight scenes. So I wanted to share a little bit about what I love. I'm more of a 3/4 of the book girl than I am the first quarter. A lot of people, they're like, oh, I just want it to start this way. I'm like, I always start with the end in mind. I'm all excited about that ending battle scene. And then I'm like, oh, we have to write the beginning. It's so extra. Yeah. So if it's okay, I'd like to share with you from chapter 24. Random, I know, but it's one of my favorite scenes because it has a little bit of that romance in it, and it has a little bit of my favorite characters. Now, let me just break it down a little bit because starting in the middle is a hard place. In my books, there's angels and demons, okay? And the demons are fighting to own this girl named Evie. Evie's the 17-year-old girl that's the MC of the story, the main character of the story, okay? And she's, we're at that part where she's super frustrated with everything that's going on. She's been trying to do better. She's been trying trying to fight the right way. She's failed. She's like, no, I'm sick of this. Your way is not working. So when she got marked by the demons, she was brought into an angel warrior program, and the angels are training them how to fight the demons. And because they were marked by the demons, because they were brought into this supernatural experience, they're all gifted. They get a gift because they were a part and brought into this. They're not supposed to. There's still the average person around that doesn't know about these things, that doesn't interact with these things because that's the way it's supposed to be. But because these guys fell into this moment with this demon attack, that they've been marked, and now they have these special gifts. And so Caleb can read in people's minds. So there's going to be parts where you'll notice he's responding to something she thought. Evie has control over like the air. And so like she can make the wind blow. She can pick things up with the air. And she also sees angels and demons. She's got the gift of spiritual sight. And so you're going to see a couple of those things, but trying to think if there's anything else you need to know. James is someone she has loved for all of her life. She loves him very much, but he's recently chosen to go to the dark side, and she's having to deal with feelings about that. Caleb has been by her side forever, and he absolutely loves her, and she's kind of like, dude, it's all about James. And so one reader said to me once that it was really, they liked how she had to choose between someone that wasn't healthy for her and someone who was healthy for her. And I think a lot of our kids face that decision. And so I wanted to portray, like, you're going to have choices in life, sometimes some that are enticing, but not the best for you. And so anyhow, this is her in a training session in the middle of the book, because that's my fun place. All right, this chapter is called Thieves and Roaring Lions. Sweat ran in rivulets down her back, but Evie wasn't going down. She ground her teeth. In the last weeks, she'd begun to hold her own. Her muscles burned with exertion, but no longer trembled. Her ability to wield her gift was smooth and reliable. She felt ready. This again? Evie sighed. 4 weeks later, and you're still... The enemy is like a thief in the night, Abigail reminded her for the 700th time. She glared. Don't you think I'm ready? Stragone won't attack. He wants me to join him. He attacked you already. If that was an attack, I'd hate to see him smooth talk someone. You can't even consider my visit anything more than a kidnapping. Abigail turned and flew away from her, organizing the arena. Dust danced in eddies along streams of light, stirred by the movement of Abigail's wings. Evie wished for wings, wished for freedom. Abigail returned and tucked her wings behind her back, but still the warrior in her showed through. Abigail notched her chin. Did he call off James? Evie faltered. He didn't, because he always has another trick up his sleeve. He's after both of your souls, and he won't give up until he has them. Evie sighed. Why did he let me go? He's playing with you. But never forget, he's a roaring lion prowling around for someone to devour. Abigail's eyes burned. Nothing they say is worth listening to. Abigail's wings rustled with agitation. Something we can agree on. Evie cracked her neck. Besides, I got important intel. At least Theo thought so. Intel will never be worth your life. Never forget, he is a prince among demons and your enemy. Make no mistake, he was trying to coerce you, to appeal to your selfishness. His next attempt will be an escalation. Consider those you love most. Consider who he might kidnap next. The truth climbed under her skin, itchy and swollen. Elbows pressed tight to her sides. She searched the shadows, the hairs on the nape of her neck standing on end. She couldn't bring her voice above a whisper. His words keep playing in my mind over and over again. What James and Stragone said? Abigail's eyes softened. Evie nodded. You'll get through this. Abigail's jaw set and her eyes glittered. I'm here. I'm helping you. Yeah, but James said if I can't have you, no one can. And Stragone brought up Tristan, so... Their words were like weeds choking her out. It would be easier to hold her breath for weeks than to simply wait. Be still. He is in control. There's a plan and your family is protected at the safe house. Abigail planted her feet in a fighting stance. I have your back. But we should be there protecting them too. If Stragone can just waltz in here and capture me, then are they really safe? Evie shook her head. We're protecting them. Abigail rested her hand on Evie's shoulder. Now let's train. I'm ready. Evie shrugged the hand off. Everything you've thrown at me, I've conquered. While we play pretend battling here in the arena, the threat grows stronger. Her hands curled into fists at her sides. I say we go and put an end to all of this. Take out the thief and the lion. Abigail's eyes burned with otherworldly flames. Sometimes Evie forgot she trained with angel warriors, yet they did have thousands of years of experience and could probably take Stragone out with one attempt. Come on, just agree to fight. Why wasn't Abigail agreeing? Seriously, Evie spoke through her teeth. Say something, do something. She paced in a circle. Anything. If only they had a punching bag up and ready. All your power, and you still won't do anything? Evie, Abigail's eyes narrowed. Training here as hard as we can will never stop the threat on my friends and family. We have to go out there. The Creator's timing makes all things perfect. Abigail probably meant her voice to be soothing, but it smacked as dismissal. Perfect? You think I want perfection? Evie closed her eyes and took a deep breath, but nothing calmed the storm inside of her. She strode across the arena. I want them to be alive, breathing, functioning, healthy, and whole. Trust is never easy. Abigail moved closer, her angelic peace enveloping Evie. Rigid tension evaporated, but the fierceness growing inside of her would not dissipate. If James goes and takes out one of my friends or my family or some deranged mad... She paced the arena. Or Stragone touches Tristan? She glanced up, searching for patience, knowing better than to ask for it in prayer. Protect them. Please, let me go. Let me do something, anything. Move your angels to guard them. Abigail pressed her fist to her chest. In his timing, all things are made perfect. It's a truth you can count on. We wait for things to align, for a path to be prepared. Do not imagine nothing is happening. When you don't see things moving into place, when you're not doing something, he's doing everything. So tell me, does this perfect plan include keeping my dad, mom, and Tristan alive through this? She turned on Abigail, ready to fight. At least Callie and Caleb have a chance at defending themselves if a demon appeared and snatched them out of the haven. Evie, no! If his timing is so perfect, why is there death, war, pain, cancer? She spat the last word. The list goes on, gnawing away at my confidence in this good plan. Air quotes hung between them. You can't understand the ways the omnipotent, the omniscient. Everything in Evie froze, and she forced herself to draw in a deep breath. She wouldn't punch an angel. She wouldn't curse in their presence, but by golly, she wanted to do both so bad it hurt. Stragone came here, where you said we'd be safe. I said you needed to be on guard. I told you that your gift called to the enemy. Abigail stepped closer. Evie stepped back, slicing her hand through the air, dismissing Abigail's words. He stole me right out from under your nose. I'm not leaving my family to die or worse. She rocked back on her heels. Tell me where their safe house is. No gifting will ever give you the perspective, wisdom, and discernment of an omniscient, omnipotent being. Don't let pride cause you to fall. You think I care if I fall? A hot flush swept through her. Tell me. Abigail shook her head. Stragone will lure you away, make you theirs, enslave you. You think I'll stay here to train for months? I followed every order, completed every task, and I'm still training 4 weeks later. What kind of coward would she be if she didn't do more? I'm going to protect my family. I have to. Evie threw her battle leathers on the arena floor and turned. Abigail's soft words whispered through the air. You aren't ready. Evie froze. Maybe, but I'm not going to wait around for Stragone's next attack. Training isn't waiting around. It's important preparation. Abigail picked up Evie's leathers. You can't do this on your own. Abigail handed them back to Evie. Evie snorted and walked away. Abigail's voice whispered across the arena. Is this your final decision? Evie nodded without looking back and stormed out. She wouldn't stand around playing pretend any longer. True warriors didn't wait. True warriors attacked. As soon as she passed through the arena door into the observation area, she narrowly missed Caleb, who hopped right in front of her. She swept around him and down the aisle. His feet beat a rhythm of pursuit. She ignored him, flying out the front door, flinging it against the wall. A fierce wind trailed her like a sweeping gown. It drew vortexes buffeting around her like the current behind a ship cutting through ocean waters. Before her, leaves rustled gently. The sun warmed the cool autumn afternoon, and the wind wore a prevailing calm. Behind her, a wide swath of churning air pulled at the earth in violent currents. Tiny tornadoes plucked the autumn-bedded leaves from the ground, and whirls drew them in patterns of living lace fit for a queen. Hey, hold on a minute. Caleb's voice battered against the blustery wind. Caleb, I'm not in the mood. Please leave me alone. She glanced behind her. A train of orange, red, and yellow leaves created a flaming train. Dry branches twirled across the lawn. Anything in her way whipped into a dance behind her. But Evie, stop! She threw her hands out, launching a branch into the air and stabbing Caleb's left arm. Ah, shoot. She needed to go. Why wouldn't they just let her go? She rocked her head from shoulder to shoulder. Caleb, she faltered. I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt you. I need to go. Okay, he covered the wound with his hand. I'll come with you. His jaw was set. He wanted to come with her? Something inside of her squeezed. Geez, your arm. She was so stupid. What a mess. It's nothing. He reached for her. Evie shook her head, stepping back. I stabbed. You need to do something. I get it. A gentle pressure entered the back of her mind, and the train of destruction following her melted into the ground. You get it? The air whispered along her skin, sweeping her hair into a crown, encouraging and empowering her. Caleb, I've trained. I'm ready. He advanced on her. She narrowed her eyes and notched her chin. You can read my mind, can't you? Caleb's eyes widened. Never breaking eye contact, he walked her back until she was flush against the bark of the leafless oak, his nose a finger's breadth from her own. Your thoughts lie. She held her breath. Not only to me, but to yourself. He made a sound of impatience in his throat. I'm not. You are. She opened her mouth, and every fallen branch, loose leaf, and a few small rocks levitated into the air. As she screamed, the debris flew like arrows loosed against an invisible enemy. Everything pent up inside of her was released. Her kidnapping, her training, and now her leaving. He grabbed her by the shoulders, but it didn't matter. Once the floodgates opened, there wasn't anything holding them back. She pounded her fists into his chest. Hot tears coursed her cheeks. Let the world fall. Let the enemy come. Let what was going to happen happen, because preparing for the unknown was impossible, and she couldn't take it anymore. Something had to give. Was everyone going to stand in her way? Yes. Yes, I am. His green eyes fixed on her. You think I'll just let you go off and get yourself killed? I've got to do something, anything to get out of this mess. Her wind pushed him away, churning around her and making a path out of there. No, Evie. Caleb stared at her with wild eyes. Not like this. He bent against the wind, fighting with all of his might to get within reach of her. I'm going with you. She grimaced, closing her eyes, weighing her options. With painstaking care, she built her walls around her mind again and dropped the wind. Caleb lost his footing and crashed into her. Her hands hit his hard, chiseled chest. Caleb, you have to let me go. Never. He clenched his jaw and gripped her shoulders. You need me. I'm not letting you go out there to get killed or enslaved or worse. What could be worse than? Caleb shook his head, but didn't move back. His hands warmed her shoulders where he held her. Hers rested on his chest. A crackle of tension filled the air as she searched his eyes. Why couldn't the world right itself for her? Why couldn't she have the guy? She wanted to curl up in him, but safe in Caleb's arms wouldn't do her or her family any good. You're wrong. He cupped her face and whispered, don't do this. Caleb, I have to. She pulled out of his hands. The muscle in his jaw jumped. Let me in. Let me in, Evie. If you keep making the same choices, you're going to get the same results. Or my miserable life was predestined. An angry tear defied her control. Same choices, same beliefs, same lies, same results. You said yourself, something's got to give. Well, let me come help you. He leaned back on his heels. What had gotten into Caleb? Nothing. He sighed. I'm trying to listen in a different way. She glanced down the path again. Callie was going to kill her if she brought Caleb and left Callie behind. No, she won't. She'd be glad you didn't go alone. Caleb wasn't giving her an inch. She needed to go. She glanced up at his defiant certainty. She considered them going together. They would be so much stronger. But guys with powers. She couldn't get hurt again. Don't lump me in with him. He reached for her. She pulled away. She wasn't about to be told what to do anymore. She started along the path, but glanced back. Caleb waited, chiseled against a cold blue sky. She could only summon a whisper. Leave me alone. I can do this. I don't need help. Don't expect me to go to the funeral. He locked his jaw. Lighten up, Caleb. I'm only going to protect my family at the safe house. We aren't going home or going to tangle with James. She turned to storm off. The idea of talking to James, seeing if she could help him, wiggled its way into her heart. You're only going to let your whole family down if you go alone. Imagine them forced to bury you. Tristan standing next to your grave. Geez, do you think anything through, or is it all by the seat of your pants? I take it back. I already know the answer. She spun back. But Caleb was right behind her. And what power do you have to protect me from demons and fire? Stop being so pig-headed. I'm not letting you go without me. Not gonna happen. The sooner you get that, the sooner we will be on our way. His determination clashed into hers. With such force, she exhaled. You don't want to leave alone. Not really. I'm here, right here. I'm not going anywhere, and neither are you. Not alone, at least. She couldn't deny wanting him. Callie was going to kill her 2 times, once for leaving without her and a second time for taking Caleb. He was right. Together, they were stronger. Together, they might succeed. Electricity sparked as he slid his hand to hers and tugged her closer. She didn't pull away. She didn't move. She didn't want to go into battle alone. The offensive was the best course of action. Action being the key word.
That was good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Wow. Yes. And you read it so darn well.
Thank
Such
you.
like passion and emotion.
Well, that's good to know because I'm considering starting doing my own audiobooks. So
You should do it.
you think
Do
so?
it. Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
I've asked for the first pieces of my audio studio, so we'll see what happens for Christmas.
Oh, yay. That's exciting. I think that would be really wonderful.
I do
So
too.
tell everybody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I have in the background an idea to work with Podium. I just haven't decided that. So that might also be the way I go. We'll see what I get for Christmas. What were you going to say?
So tell everybody where they can find your books.
Oh, so definitely on Amazon. You can also buy them directly through me. The only way to get the bundle deal is to buy them through me, which is just go to my website, jlburrows.com, and then email me. It has a contact form. You just put in there that you want the bundle with the bundle price. Normally they sell for $45 plus tax, and I'm selling them for $38.50 including tax.
Wow.
So go ahead and reach out to me for the bundle or any type of signed book. I sign all of my books, and inside of each book, I like to write a little message to the reader, so have it personalized totally for free. So if you just buy the book through me, I can definitely sign it, personalize it, and you will get a copy that's special and unique to you. And if you let me know a little bit about what you want me to say to your young adult or the teenager in your life, I'd be more than happy to cater that message to that person. So that's again at jlburrows.com. But another place you can get them, and I love saying this, I know we're headed into Christmas, and I feel like there's something we oftentimes miss with books, which is ebooks make a great virtual stocking gift. And I think because it's not a physical something, we think we can't, but put in a card, hey, I got this for you. My entire series, including the 4th and final book, is $10 if you buy the ebook on Amazon and you just buy each one of the ebooks. I would just put it in the card that you bought them the ebooks. And the cool thing about that, when you buy a pre-order, is it makes Christmas last longer. So like when that ebook comes out in February and that young adult in your life goes, oh, I just got my book, you've just made Christmas last to 2 times instead of just the 1 time. And I think that's a really great way to do that. And then the third thing I love to say is buy Kindle Unlimited. That's a great gift to somebody. It costs $10 per month. You get 3 months. For somebody, it's $30, and that person gets to enjoy all the books within that $10, which is another great, gift giving idea. And for more gift giving ideas, you're welcome to follow me on Facebook because I often do gift giving ideas and ways
Those
to.
are great gift giving ideas. Great ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to tell that you work in sales.
Yeah, couldn't tell it all.
I have to really try and not sound too salesy, and then I have to but yeah, I think about those, and I have a tight budget, and I think we're all kind of struggling with tight budgets, and so you get 4 300-page books for $10. That's, to me, especially if you have a reader, like a kid who loves to read, that's the way to go. I'm currently shopping for murder mysteries for my daughter because unfortunately she has terrible taste to not like fantasy. I don't know what to do with her. I think it's a moment of rebellion, and I'm hoping she'll grow out of it, but hopefully, one day.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It has gone so fast. We're already over an hour. So
wow.
Yeah, it feels like it was 5 minutes. So this was truly enjoyable, and you have to come back again.
I'd be happy to. This has been a lot of fun. I think we should talk more about what you guys have learned and share that with me. I'm going to just soak it all in. Okay, deal?
Okay. I think that sounds great.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Blessings to everyone who watches.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.